Okay, so today we're really diving deep into the world of social counseling,
Right.
using these RoleCatcher guides and all the cool features
As,
to really, unpack this career path. And I have a feeling
yeah,
it's a lot more than just,
right.
a 9 to 5 job.
You're absolutely right. It's
Right,
it really is. You've hit the nail on the head when we
right.
talk about, a deep-seated drive to help people through some of honestly life's toughest moments, right? Like
Go
it's
on.
about empowering them to overcome challenges,
Yeah,
working through those really tangled emotions that we all have,
right.
and ultimately leading more fulfilling lives. So
Yeah.
it's definitely rewarding, but like anything else,
Yeah.
there's two sides to every coin, right?
Okay, so you're saying it's not all
Let's get-
sunshine and roses.
Ah,
There's a demanding side
Yeah.
to this career path, too.
yeah, there absolutely is.
Okay.
And that's important for us to explore as well because
Right.
you are dealing with,
Right.
other people's baggage, their struggles day after day.
Right.
And that can take a toll. So
Wow. Yeah.
burnout is a real, concern in this field.
Right.
So
Yeah.
prioritizing self-care, setting those boundaries, non-negotiable.
Okay.
But we'll unpack that a little bit later, those pros and cons.
Okay.
But for now, I think it'd be good to shift gears just a little bit and talk about the skills
Okay.
that are actually essential for success
Got it.
in this field, because it's not just about having a kind heart,
Right.
although that helps.
It
Right.
does, yeah.
There's more to it than that.
Okay, so what are we talking about? What are those
Yeah. No, you're right.
core skills that are, like,
That's amazing.
essential in this line of work?
Yeah, so think of it like this. Every social worker needs
Okay.
kind of their toolkit,
Right.
right? And active listening is at the very, very top.
Got it.
And I'm not just talking about hearing words, but truly, truly understanding the emotions behind them, the motivations, picking up on those unspoken cues.
Oh, so it's like you're reading between the lines almost.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
Tuning into those nonverbal signals to really
Yes.
grasp what's going on.
100%. Yeah. And then on top of that,
Yeah.
there's empathy,
Right.
which is the ability to,
Right.
really step into your client's shoes,
Right.
see the world from their perspective,
Right.
and offer support without judgment,
Yeah.
no matter how complex the situation may be.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But then how do you develop that empathy without
Yeah.
getting, like, overly invested
Right.
in your clients' lives?
That's a great question.
Is that a
And it's something that
tightrope walk?
it is. It is a tightrope walk, and it's
Yeah.
definitely something that
Yeah.
social workers are trained to navigate because,
Right.
empathy doesn't mean taking on their problems as your own. Right. It's about understanding and acknowledging their feelings while still maintaining professional boundaries.
Yeah, okay, that's a really crucial distinction. Like, you're connecting,
Exactly.
but you're also
Yes.
staying grounded
100%.
in your professional role.
Yeah, and so you're right.
Oh.
While those soft skills are absolutely foundational,
Yeah.
we also can't overlook
Right.
a really strong educational background.
Right, because it's one thing to be
Right.
a good listener.
Yeah.
But you need the knowledge
You need that baseline.
to back it up.
You got to have the
Totally.
knowledge to really make a difference.
Absolutely. And that's
Mhm.
where,
Right.
a solid understanding of psychology comes in,
Okay.
understanding of, different counseling methods,
Right.
social work practices, all of that is really, really key.
Right. And so you're talking about like
Yeah.
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right, like CBT.
Right. That's a common approach.
Yeah.
Solution-focused therapy,
Right.
where you're really emphasizing solutions, building on their strengths,
Right.
rather than just dwelling on the problems.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it.
It's like you have different
Yeah.
tools for different situations.
Exactly.
And you're trying to find the right one.
100%. You're constantly adding to that
It's
toolbox
the individual client.
throughout your career. You're
So you're
right.
constantly
Yeah.
learning, adding to your toolkit.
Oh, absolutely. Because even if you think about
Right.
that psychology knowledge,
Mhm.
right? It's always evolving. There's constantly new research,
Yes.
new therapies, new approaches. And so
It's like you're a lifelong
it is
student of
human behavior.
lifelong learning. Very critical.
Yeah.
Especially if you're looking to move into, like, those senior roles, for example.
Right. And speaking of those different roles,
Yeah.
let's imagine like,
The career trajectory of a social counselor.
okay.
What does that journey look like, starting
Yeah.
with those entry-level positions?
Yeah. So I always picture it like a ladder.
Okay.
Right. And each rung on that ladder represents a new level
Uh.
of experience and responsibility.
Got it.
And so you'll typically start
Okay.
with entry-level tasks.
All right. So you're like diving right in.
You're getting your hands dirty. Yeah. First
working directly with people.
Absolutely. So things like conducting those client assessments,
Okay.
providing emotional support,
Okay.
collaborating with other professionals. So you're really...
So you're learning the ropes from the ground up.
Yes. You're getting that hands-on experience, learning those ropes.
And then what happens as you progress? Like, what's the next step up?
So as you gain experience, naturally, your responsibilities are going to grow as well.
Right.
So you might transition from, let's say, a junior counselor to an intermediate counselor, and then eventually into like
the senior role.
The senior role, exactly.
And at that senior level, then you're not just supporting clients, but you're also like mentoring and guiding.
You've got it, and that's a whole different skill set.
Right, that requires,
whole
other, like...
Because now you're thinking about...
expertise.
Yeah, mentor those junior staff, maybe even develop program initiatives, even get involved in research or advocacy work, so really shaping the field.
So you're really shaping the field
at
that point.
You're ensuring, quality of care.
Wow.
Making sure things are running smoothly.
That's amazing.
A lot of responsibility, but
It sounds like a really dynamic path with a lot of room to grow, and you can kind of even specialize. But you mentioned that the two sides of every coin.
Right.
So what about the challenges? What are some of the tough realities?
Yeah, that's a critical...
that social counselors should be prepared for.
Absolutely. That's a really, really critical aspect to consider because, we talked a little bit about burnout before, and it's very, very real. Right. Imagine just for a second dealing with the weight of other people's trauma, of their pain, every single day.
Wow.
It can really take an emotional toll if you're not careful.
It must take a lot of resilience and self-awareness.
It really does.
To navigate that.
And that's why self-care in this field is non-negotiable.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. It's not selfish.
Right.
It's essential. You need to prioritize your own well-being to really show up.
So what does that look like in practice?
Yeah.
Is it like...
That's a great question.
Meditation apps and bubble baths? Or is it something more?
It can be those things too.
Yeah.
Right? But it's also about, really setting those boundaries.
Yeah.
Knowing when to disconnect from work.
Right.
Having that support network.
Right.
People you can debrief with.
Right. You have people you can...
process those difficult emotions with and engage in.
Vent to.
Exactly. Yeah, and engage in activities that bring you joy and replenish your energy.
Right. So it's that...
Yes.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
100%.
You got to fill your own cup first.
You got to take care of yourself first.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you have something to give to others.
And then on top of just that emotional toll, you also have to think about the reality that social work often comes with, limited resources, limited funding.
Right. And so you might find yourself with...
Absolutely.
Like a really...
And that can be...
heavy caseload.
Yeah. Very, very stressful.
Right. Where you're stretched really thin.
Absolutely. And you're like, I wish I had more.
Wow.
I wish I had more support.
Yeah. And it must take a lot of dedication to stay motivated and effective.
It really does. And on top of that...
when you're facing those kinds of challenges...
because that can happen, we also have to talk about... vicarious trauma.
Right. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't even consider.
It's that experience of absorbing some of the trauma that your clients have experienced.
Yeah, it's like...
right. It's like their pain is...
leaves an imprint.
leaving an imprint on you.
On you.
And that's why having that support system, right? Those people you can process those difficult emotions with.
It's not just about having the right...
it's hard
in this, or like even knowing the right techniques.
It's about having that emotional intelligence to navigate.
You have to have that emotional intelligence and resilience to navigate these complex dynamics.
100%. You need to be prepared for those really emotionally charged situations. Make those really tough calls.
Yeah, right. And you have to advocate for your
ethical decisions too.
Yeah, uphold those ethical and legal standards. So
speaking of which, you mentioned the ethical and legal considerations.
Yes.
What might those look like in social work?
Think about it this way. Confidentiality is paramount in this field.
Well, that's like the
building trust.
Number one rule.
Is essential.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that there are situations where you might be legally obligated to break that confidentiality.
Right.
So think about...
suspected child abuse.
Yes, exactly. Or if a client poses a threat to themselves or others.
Right. Right. So it's like...
those are really, really difficult decisions that require a lot of careful consideration.
Right.
and a very, very thorough understanding of the law.
So it's like you're walking this tightrope between protecting your client's privacy,
but also ensuring the safety and well-being
of everyone.
Of everyone involved.
Of everybody involved.
Wow. So that takes a lot of discernment.
It does.
And you have to have a really strong ethical compass.
You need that strong ethical compass. And that's why it's so important to really enter this field with your eyes wide open.
Being very aware.
Right. Fully aware.
Of the challenges and the rewards.
Of the incredible rewards.
Okay.
But also the very real challenges.
Yeah. So for our listeners who are like, okay, this is really speaking to me. I feel drawn to this path.
Yeah.
I resonate with this idea of making a real difference in people's lives. Where do they begin?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Let's talk about those concrete steps.
So it generally starts with a really strong educational foundation.
Okay.
Most roles require at least a bachelor's degree in social work or a related field.
Okay.
So think psychology, counseling, human services, and for those of you aiming for like more advanced positions, a master's degree might be preferred.
Got it.
Or even required.
So education is key.
Education is definitely key.
What skills or knowledge should people focus on?
Yeah, that's a great question.
During those studies.
So you definitely want a deep understanding of human psychology.
Okay.
Right. Understanding different counseling theories, methods. That's going to be huge.
Okay.
You'll also want to dive into those.
Right, because it's one thing to have that theoretical knowledge.
Yes, because you can.
Right. But then knowing how to apply it.
You got to know how to apply it.
In those real world situations.
In the real world.
That's key.
That's what's going to set you apart.
Right. So how do you gain that hands-on experience?
Right.
If you're studying or just starting out.
Right.
What about internships, volunteer opportunities?
Internships are amazing for that.
Okay.
They're fantastic because they give you that chance to really work alongside.
So you're working with
experienced professionals, yes.
Right alongside those.
Build your network.
Experienced professionals.
And you get a feel for...
So you're not just reading about it, you're actually out there doing it.
You're out there in the trenches. You're interacting with clients.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
You're getting...
And then volunteering, too.
And volunteer... Don't discount volunteering.
Right, because it
shows... Through a scientific way, that dedication.
To give back to your community.
Right.
Right. Witness those challenges firsthand that people are facing.
Right.
And you can develop new skills.
And you're building your skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the same time.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so now let's talk about landing that job.
Yes.
We got to talk about the interview process.
Yes, the interview.
Right. Because it can be.
It can be nerve-wracking.
Nerve-wracking.
But with the right preparation.
You can totally ace it.
Okay, so what are your top tips for making a great impression?
Okay.
And really showing the hiring manager that you're the perfect fit.
All right.
Okay, so say I'm about to walk into that interview room. What's the key?
Okay.
To really knocking their socks off?
Honestly, preparation.
Okay.
Preparation is going to be your secret weapon.
Okay.
Right? Remember those practice questions that we were talking about?
Yeah.
That RoleCatcher offers,
right.
The interview prep feature?
Yeah.
It can be a game changer.
Okay.
Right. Take the time to actually practice those answers.
Okay.
Focus on, clear, concise communication.
Got it.
Think about stories you can tell that really illustrate.
So it's almost like you're prepping for a play.
Yes.
You're rehearsing your lines.
Exactly.
So that you feel confident and natural.
Yes, 100%.
When you're on stage, or in this case.
Yes.
In the interview room.
You've got it. You're going in there.
Yep. Ready to perform.
Okay.
And I think just like on stage, confidence is key.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So maintain good eye contact.
Okay.
Be enthusiastic. Let your passion really shine through.
Right. Let them know you're serious.
Yes. And don't be afraid.
Okay.
To weave in those real-life examples.
Right, from those internships. And
yes, from your internship.
Volunteer opportunities.
The volunteer work you've done. Because
it really helps bring those experiences to life.
It does. It paints a picture.
Right. It's not just words on a resume.
Exactly.
You're really painting a picture of yourself in action.
You are showing them.
Right.
Not just telling them.
Yeah.
And here's a pro tip.
Okay.
Be ready to talk about your own self-care practices.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because social work is demanding.
Yeah.
And employers want to know that you have those healthy...
Right. You have those mechanisms in place.
Coping mechanisms in place.
So you don't burn out.
Yes. Exactly. Okay, that's a really good point.
It's not about saying, oh, I never get stressed, I'm perfectly fine.
Right.
It's about saying, hey, I recognize this can be tough.
Right. I'm aware.
But I have strategies in place to manage those challenges.
To prioritize my well-being.
Prioritize my well-being.
That's a really good point.
Yes. And I think the other thing, too, is to remember the interview is a two-way street.
Oh, that's a good point.
Right. This is also your opportunity
to ask them questions, too.
To see if this organization aligns with your values.
It's like trying on a new pair of shoes.
Yeah. Yes.
You want to make sure they fit.
Exactly. Yeah. You want to make sure
you want to be comfortable.
It's the right environment.
100%.
For me, before I commit, You
got to find the right environment where you can thrive.
Yeah.
And where you can make the biggest impact.
This has been amazing, this whole deep dive.
Good.
Really, really insightful. So, well, that's what we want, right?
Any final words of wisdom for those who are ready to embark on this amazing but challenging journey?
At the end of the day, social work, it's more than a job, right? It really is a calling. It requires so much dedication, resilience, a genuine desire to make a difference.
Right.
But for those who are ready to answer that call, the rewards, they're immeasurable.
Yeah, you can empower individuals.
Yes.
Transform lives.
You would transform lives.
Contribute to a better world.
A more just and compassionate world.
That's amazing.
It's an incredible privilege.
It is an incredible privilege. And,
it is.
For anyone listening out there, if you feel that spark.
Yeah, don't ignore it.
Right, don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it.
That pull toward this kind of work.
If this is calling to you, dive in.
Dive deeper.
Do the research, explore.
Yeah.
You might just see
where it leads you.
Your life's most fulfilling journey.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Happy to be here.
For this deep dive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really appreciate it.
Anytime.